What's up, guys? Brian back to do a Walking Dead discussion, and is Daryl a necessary character for The Walking Dead? It's a great article by comicbook.com, and we'll highlight some things and talk about Daryl Dixon, if you like him or not. What we basically bring up the question is he necessary for The Walking Dead? Post your comments what you think about it below. Some of the images used in this video are property of AMC and other companies. We're using them under the fair use copyright principle. We do not claim ownership of the images. There is the link, comicbook.com. We'll put it in the description as well. Check it out. It's worth checking out. Basically, since The Walking Dead premiered in 2010, fans of the comics have always argued about the changes to the show. Was killing Andrea necessary? Was letting Carol live a mistake? Etc. Amidst all these questions, one of the biggest changes from the books has completely been ignored. One vital character on the show is completely absent from the comic series. The success of the comics is unparalleled, so the question remains, is Daryl really a necessary character? For those who don't know, Daryl Dixon is not a member in the comic book. He was made for this show. He was just for this show. Norman Reedus actually tried out for Merle Dixon and did not get the part, but they loved Norman Reedus so much that they decided to make the Dixon Brothers. Michael Rooker was cast as Merle, and Norman Reedus was cast as Darrell. And I like Darrell. Daryl Dixon is awesome. Norman Reedus is awesome. Daryl Dixon is Norman Reedus. So I'm a big fan, that's for sure. That question may come as a shock to most fans, as the character is a favorite among many. Darrell has played a large part in Rick's story since season 1, but is nowhere to be found in the comics. The addition of Darrell to the series definitely makes sense from a production standpoint. Instead of giving multiple characters scenes where they lose their composure, that conflict falls on Darrell's shoulders. Shane was able to share the load, but he wasn't around very long. So what do you think? Do you like Darrell? Do you not like Darrell? Darrell does a lot of the dirty work. He had to take care of Beth, take her out, bury her, had to do the same thing with Dale, had to do he has to do all the things where he's got to take out the people when they're about to become walkers, or carry Beth out when she was shot. By adding Darrell to the roster, the show also gained the popular story of Myrtle and his betrayal. Having the ability to explore the violent tendencies of rebellious brothers was an exciting dynamic that the books were missing. I like the Dixon Brothers. I wish they would do a prequel show of the Dixon Brothers. That would be pretty awesome. Michael Rooker is awesome. Norman Reedus, great. It was very sad when Myrtle, bit the bullet here and was taken out when he tried to do something heroic, and it was a very sad day, and it was very tough for Norman to shoot that, actually. The series was also able to benefit from the casting of Norman Reedus. Due to his leading role in the Boondock Saints, Reedus gained cult film star status. In addition to casual fans recognizing his face, Norman showed up to The Walking Dead with passionate followers who were willing to watch anything he was a part of. On the flip side, the comics have never needed a character like Daryl. So the comics are standalone. The comics are the comics. The show is the show. The comics don't need Daryl. They have a big fan base on there too. But I think Daryl and really Norman Reedus brings a lot to the show that might not be captured the best in a comic book anyway. Norman Reedus does a great job, I believe. He's basically a clone of Dwight, and kind of turning that too. So Dwight and Darrell are going to be, together for a long time. Considered one of the most successful comics in the modern age, The Walking Dead has been running steadily for 13 years. This is one of the longest running stories in recent comic history. The books have been praised for their character study of Rick Grimes and the unique ways a diverse group of people respond to disaster and loss. This causes characters to be unpredictable at times, and the addition of Darrell could distract from that. Instead of watching several group members react out of character, the show has Darrell to fill that role, rather than Michonne losing her mind for a moment or Rick throwing a fit. Instead of staying patient, the series has a resident hothead that can do it for them, and that's Daryl Dixon. So Darrell does a lot of different things. He's got a lot of different storylines going there too. For season 7, I think he's going to pick up a couple of different storylines from the comics. They don't know what to do with him because he's not in the comics. There is no source material for Darrell. He's an empty book, so he might steal some things from the show or from the comics and put it in the show and whatever. And I kind of like that about it. I like there's some differences of the show versus the comics. This character is missing from the books, but that only adds to the situation. Since their world is unpredictable, it makes sense for many characters to be the same. While the tactic of adding the volatile biker seems like it would help characterization, it may actually hurt it. Just like DC Comics did with Harley Quinn and Lost did with Charlie, The Walking Dead now has the unpredictability stuffed into one character. It keeps the outbursts and oddities from being crazy or out of left field. Instead, we have come to expect it from them. So I like that about the show, is that Daryl Dixon is a part of it, that he's not part of the comic, and I like the differences of that too. What do you think about it? Do you like the differences? Do you want to see Darrell in the comics? I know some people do, but if it does, it would probably be like a quick issue in there too. I wouldn't think him to be a stable part of the comic. So why add Darrell to the mix? There have been arguments for and against the decision, but they haven't accounted for one thing. Fans love Darrell. And I'm one of those people. My girlfriend's one of those people. A lot of people love Darrell. What do you think? Do you like Darrell? Do you hate Darrell? I know some people do. Some people hate him. But I've met Norman Reedus countless times, and he's awesome. The fans love him. Jeffrey Dean Morgan's good friends with him. The rest of the cast love him. He's probably a pain in the ass. He's that practical joke person that is probably a pain in the ass to be around for the 6 months that they're filming, and then they needed a break from Norman, but they're probably good to see him. He's like the practical jokester that you love to be around as long as he's not messing with you, but after the time you're ready to be away from him. He may not be necessary, but Darrell has become a vital piece that audiences have come to love. Brandon Davis, The Walking Dead insert at comicbook.com, had a very similar opinion of the character. Obviously, Darrell is a character The Walking Dead comic has operated without just fine from its start. That said, he has been an integral part of the TV show from both a fan and a plot perspective. Not only does Norman's take on the character influence others and spark evolution in other favorites such as Carol, but his interactions with fans always make for memorable stories and further people's love for the show. Could it work without him? Sure, but it's better to have him. And I agree totally 100% with that too. And if you ever get a chance to meet Norman Reedus at a show, convention, something, do it. He's awesome. He's talkative. He's just fun going. He's just a great person to meet in person too. You won't be disappointed. Whether or not the show needed to add Darrell into the mix, we sure are glad they did. Here's a character fans love to watch, and the show wouldn't be the same without him. At this point, even if you've read the comics, it's hard to imagine The Walking Dead without Daryl Dixon. Like the t-shirts say, if Darrell dies, we riot. Wouldn't you? And I agree, too. Darrell kind of started that thing, too, when people said, if you die, we riot. He's like, I want to be handing out matches. I want to be doing this. I'm gonna, do all this crazy shit. Let my trailer on fire. Do all this crazy stuff because he's gonna be pissed. He loves to play Norman Reedus loves to play Daryl Dixon. He is Daryl Dixon. For those who want Dwight to kill Darrell, I want Dwight to get his ass kicked by Darrell because Dwight's gonna be around for a long time. But Daryl Dixon and Jesus there. Pretty awesome guys. I think Daryl Dixon hopefully will be around for a long ass time. I think he's great. I would love to see him make a cameo in Zombieland 2. Best redneck zombie killing team for sure. Do Not Bite Me. Awesome guys. So like, share, subscribe. Post your comments below. Let us know. Do you like Darrell? Love him. Thanks guys.